Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd. Today the episode, "And All My Dreams Torn Thus Under," speaks of success and failure. I think that we could all talk about successes that we've had in our lives. We could all talk about failures we've had in our lives, although we don't really want to talk about the failures so much, but it happens. I've had some successes, some big successes, some small successes. I've had some small failures and some pretty big ones. It's just part of life. And in this episode, which is one that represents some of the best of J. Michael Straczynski's writing, in which he takes not the simple storytelling way that a lot of writers do, but put in all of the complications, all of the little things that make life life. Delenn is concentrating on life in this episode by staring at a candle, both as it goes out after she stayed up all night watching it, and then at the end of the episode where there's a new candle in that she starts watching there. She said that the candle represents life, and once the candle goes out, there's never another one quite like it, and that's what's true. But beyond the thoughts of life and death, there is also the point of where success and failure happens. Sometimes this success is, in their case, trying to hold together an alliance of disagreeable factions. And by the end of the episode, not being so good at that, to the point to where Sheridan is saying, "You wanted peace, you said, but you didn't want peace. You wanted cooperation, but you didn't want cooperation. You want to fight. You want war. So damn you and damn me," he says. "You'll get your war." So a failure there. In smaller terms, we have that of Michael Garibaldi, who is still at the bottom of a bottle. He misses an important meeting and later in the episode makes a catastrophic mistake due to the fact that he's passed out drunk. Zach found out about it. He knew he was an alcoholic from way back, but did not suspect that he was on the bottle until he saw evidence of that in this episode. And Michael shoots back that he wasn't someone who could talk because he'd had his own addictions. And in fact, both of the characters do. And in fact, both of the actors did. The actor that played Zach Allen had a problem with drugs to the point to where there were those that said that JMS should not have hired him for this job. And Jerry Doyle was a recovering alcoholic. So they were playing very close to their real lives in this scene of where they're confronting each other. And it comes down to where Zach, in the name of friendship, does not rat on Garibaldi, and that's something he'll regret. It's cost lives. And Garibaldi has hit bottom. Finally, what he has done to himself has affected everybody else, those that counted on him the most. You have Sheridan, who everybody counted on to hold this alliance together, who just couldn't do what was impossible to do. You look at Londo, who couldn't believe that his people would be as barbaric as the attacks had been, and even when confronted with evidence, was more likely to believe his government than what the alliance was telling him. And yet he still had some concerns, some doubts, and it made him go back to Centauri Prime with Jakar And in their attempt to arrest Jakar, he says, if you arrest him, you're going to have to arrest me too. And turns to Jakar and says they wouldn't do it to their own prime minister. And they do, leaving Londo in a cell. So failure at being able to get to the bottom of something that he should have known about to begin with by his way. So what is it? Ego gets in the way, that you think that you can leap over tall buildings? Yeah, there's part of that. And that's included in this episode. And you have somebody like Veer, who is kind of the moral center of all of this, who is going to become kind of the whipping boy by those that are now pining for war. So it's a sad situation that we find ourselves in this episode. And once again, brilliant writing, but it kind of makes you feel kind of down about it. But I remember a story that was, it's a parable. It was told long ago, and I probably don't have it right, but it's the one where God tells a man to roll this boulder up a hill. And the man tries, he pushes as hard as he can and loses his grip, and the boulder rolls back downhill. He goes back again, tries again. Once again, the same thing happens. And on the third time when it happens, he gets it about halfway up and it goes all the way back down again. He sits down and says, I failed. And God speaks to him and said, so what's wrong here? You were supposed to push this boulder up the hill. He said, I've tried and I can't do it. How do you expect me to get this boulder, to one person to get this boulder all the way to the top of the hill? And God says, I didn't tell you to get the boulder all the way to the top of the hill. I asked you to push. Thank you for joining us. Tomorrow we'll have a review on the last episode of Star Trek Con, the podcast. And then we'll have, speaking of podcast, we'll be meeting with Professor O, talking movies there with Star Trek, the first J.J. Abrams feature. That will be on Thursday. So until we talk to you next time, don't go far.